Hey everyone, the Wagon Wheel of Wisdom here. Please like, share, and subscribe, and hit the bell notifications down below if you haven't already. Hey folks, Kevin here, and welcome back to another episode of the Wagon Wheel of Wisdom. Behind me, as usual, beautiful wagon wheel, and hopefully still a little wisdom up here. Got some notes today, so I'm going to be looking down a little bit here and there, but just wanted to say welcome to today's episode. The past, week or so, as I've been talking about, I've gone through, I suppose, Dark Night of the Soul 2.0, the second wave of this very challenging process, one we are all very familiar with, and when we get into those stages of that deep void, and when we struggle on that day to day, we know it's set in and we know it's there. And this episode, I'm going to talk about what I've been doing to deal with it and feel pretty damn good today, all things considered. And the dog is still snoring. Sorry about that. This is his last day here. His mom's coming back home, so I'm gonna miss him. It's been a joy having him here. He's quite the pup. But the first thing I want to talk about, and people have asked me a couple times about what I'm doing for meditation. I'm going to talk about what I started out doing to get to where I'm at right now, because I'm starting to really do it a lot more and really finding the benefits in it. But getting to where I've gotten to, like, many things, when you first start out, it's a bit of a struggle. And meditation, when you're trying to really calm that chatter down inside your head, it can be really defeating. I found myself giving up really easy a lot of the times. But here's what I started out doing. I went to guided meditations that I found on YouTube, and most specifically ones that were more geared towards just breath work. When the focus is on the mind and it's running, it's good to have something else to focus on. And I found the best way to detach from up here and just listen to the breath going in and out. Full disclosure, 30 seconds to a minute is maybe all I could last starting out doing meditation. And that's no kidding. It was very challenging because there was a lot of noise up there. And when you're in that, I don't want to call it the D knots, but that stage where you're really ruminating or replaying those old conversations in your head, it's hard to focus. But focusing in on the, and actually just feeling the coolness of that breath going inside of your lungs. And if you can, in your mind, tell yourself, breathing in love, getting rid of anger. Breathing in love, getting rid of anger. It has helped me relax that mind. Fast forward to now, I can sit a good 10 to 15 minutes. And that's not to say that the mind doesn't wander, but I always bring it back. I haven't really had any sort of, epiphanies or, visualizations that some people talk about with meditation. Now, granted, I'm still very early on in this, and that could come along. But what I'm finding is my palms are up when I'm sitting in the lotus position, and I can feel my hands buzzing, like energy. It's pretty cool. And it doesn't happen right away, but when I'm sitting there in those moments, I can really feel the energy in the palms of my hands, which is it's fascinating. It really is. So I'm curious to kind of see what the next phase of this is. But I found myself being in a much more relaxed, soul-focused space, even given the events of what's happened in the last week with me reaching out and contacting my ex. And that absolutely triggered the heck out of me. It has been a very challenging last few days, getting out of my own head, getting out of my own way, but I'm beginning to see the lesson behind it. These triggers, to me, they're tests to see where you're at. People have brought up that, that you reached out to her, it was supposed to happen that way. And to look at it in that perspective, it's like, okay, if I can set the bag down, I guess forgive myself for doing so, because it really spun me up. And why I don't want to live in regret of doing so. she didn't need to respond. She still responded. So it was still, in a way, cool. However, in a way, it was not so cool. But these are all lessons moving forward to get me, to get you, to get us to where we want to be. And that is just at a total state of inner peace and being completely in love with who we are and ourselves. If the DM doesn't see it, fuck them. Be as nice as I can about it. So I want to talk about something too that I wrote down in my journal last night. Prior to going to bed, I did have some thoughts that were kind of ruminating in my head. And for whatever reason, while I meditated, and I'm always doing this before I go to sleep, so I'll read, journal, then meditate, and then try and get to sleep. But I wrote down something I've been saying to myself, and it has been profoundly relaxing. In a sense of, I can feel just love and joy inside of me comes when I say this. I made it up. I don't know where it came from, but it says, I accept the flow of life as it comes to me. I surrender to it as is. I accept the flow of life as it comes to me. I surrender to it as is. I must have said that to myself 50 times last night before I went to sleep, and just, like I said, an overwhelming sense of peace came over me. And I'm going to continue using this over and over again, using it as my mantra. I encourage you guys to come up with your own. If you want to try using that one, by all means. I've got no trademark rights to it or anything like that. So if it's something that helps, by all means use it, because as I experienced for the second time now with the void and the D-knots, that it's, I like though that this one, seemingly at this moment in time, is lasting less. It's not lasting nearly as long. The duration period isn't as long. And I would love to believe that's because I've got more tools in my tool belt right now to use against it. And meditation, journaling, reading, done smoking weed, you guys. I've made peace with this. I'm pretty damn good with it at this moment in time. Not drinking, staying in solitude. And these are things I'm going to talk about with this, my list of 7 here, I'll call it. And coffee. I had a half of a cup today, and by the time I got through half of it, felt my energy kick up in my chest. Dumped that crap out. Sorry, I don't want to call it crap, but I dumped it out, and it really kind of brought me back. So maybe there's something to the caffeine as well. I've been an avid, strong coffee drinker for a long time. 2+ decades at this point in time. And so the funny thing is with this journey, it's just your body telling you maybe it's time to try something different. You know, we're reinventing the wheel here, so to speak, and try new things. And seriously, it's an experiment of what's going to work for you to get you to where you need to be. And that is a good state of peace of mind, okay with things, being in love with yourself, being okay that you're not with them, all of it. So here is 7 reasons that I'm going to talk about why we must be alone, or why I think we must be alone during this, and choosing solitude over kind of the noise of life, and why we really should separate from those things. Now, it seems counterintuitive to think about it, because what we're honestly fighting against is the feeling of being lonely. I mean, right? That's a huge hurdle for all of us. So there's a blessing in disguise behind it, though, I think. And it's just to prove to yourself that you're pretty frickin' badass by yourself, and that you appreciate you for being that badass person. So let's dive into this a little bit. Number 1, social detachment, avoiding outside influences to assess your own emotions versus others. Now, the way I'm interpreting this after I wrote it down was to be okay separating yourself from the noise of the outside world, detaching from anything you can, whether it be, call them addictions if you want, social media, news. Good Lord, does the news suck. People, just things that really influence your mind. What your eyes and your ears take in, you guys, is what kind of forms you and starts your day out. If you're starting your day out social media it up, Facebook or fake book as I call it, or social media in general, which I am not on any of that other than Bumble I went on. Sorry, guilty as charged. That was stupid, but sorry, I admit. And again, it spun me up. So I think the proof is kind of in the pudding with that one. Number 2, take perceived character weaknesses and turn them into your strength. So what do I mean by that? Kind of, taming the ego a little bit, and forgiveness I find falling into that category. So take perceived character weaknesses. So let's hypothetically say that you're a very unforgiving person. I don't necessarily want to say that that's a weakness, but it's certainly not a strength at the same time. So turning that mirror around and forgiving who first? Forgiving yourself. And just seeing where that spills over into the rest of your life. If you can forgive yourself, I think you can pretty much forgive anybody, for real. In fact, that's I've found to be a huge catalyst. I've talked about, loving from afar, mind you, but my narcissistic ex. Why not? They showed you something about yourself that needed healing. Codependency for me was the number one factor, and that was, if you're attracted to people with narcissistic personality disorders or narcissists in general, codependency is probably a huge problem in your life. Guilty as charged with that one. And the other one is, I've talked numerous times about the relationship I have with my ex-wife and how that's cultivated. It was easy. I didn't really know it at the time, but I forgave myself first. And then it just spilled over into her, loving her for who she is from afar, from a distance. And we have an incredible, friendly, it's a loving relationship, any way I want to look at it. I get to watch the dog, for God's sake, and I love it. So, number 3, to recharge your energy. Now, this is pretty self-explanatory. I know we are sometimes on the floor, crying, longing. We are, wishing we had our partner here, but let's step back for a second and just examine this. That alone time is so necessary to recharge your energy, because most of us, I'm assuming, are very empathic and giving in nature. That ends up taking a lot of our energy, okay? And that leaves very little for us. This, again, is about that self-discovery aspect of who you are as a person. Take that energy, turn it inward. Recharge those very depleted batteries in your life and begin to recultivate new things, new ideas, new disciplines. Get into the gym, getting out for walks, getting out in nature, meditating, journaling, reading, all those things. Healthy dietary changes are very key to a good mental state of well-being. Getting rid of coffee. Working on it. Number 4, raising your frequency. Now, this one's a little tougher, and it's a little more challenging because when we're in those very down states on ourselves, it's hard to feel like we're going to come out of it. But this is where that sitting in those meditations, doing those breathing exercises can really recharge the batteries. Doing the mantra, I accept the flow of life as it comes to me, I surrender to it as is, and just feeling your energy shift. When you're feeling that energetic shift, guess what? That is raising your vibration and raising your frequency all at the same time. A very beautiful thing, you guys. Cultivating a new version of you. That kind of spills over with the whole alone time, but you're shedding the old snakeskin, I suppose, or removing the old dead weight of things that just don't serve you anymore. And as I talked about, it could be cutting things out of your life. It could be cutting some people out of your life. And I've found that's happening organically. Is that the right way to look at that? I just don't give the attention to, I suppose, relationships that were, as I re-examine them in a way, what kind of relationships were they really? It's not that I'm, standoffish and don't talk to these people. I still absolutely will. The amount of energy that I may have given to it in the past is shifting dramatically. So, and the other aspect that I have that is confronting your emotions. That's kind of a touchy one. And it's a very challenging one, is confronting those emotions. And again, it's kind of standing in the mirror, admitting, all right, I'm a little messed up at this point in time, but I will make it through this. I will be better. I will be good. But confronting the emotions and sitting with those emotions when they come up, like anger. If you're like me, you're replaying the old conversations in your head, or you're having those hypothetical arguments in your head, if or when they ever reached out to you, right? I mean, at least I'm guilty of that. So it is confronting those and then asking yourself, well, what am I so angry about in that moment? Give it a shot. Turning the page here. Nice metaphor. Connecting deeper into wisdom and your intuitive self. Take away the outside noise to trust your own inner voice. I'm going to give you today's example for me. So today I have an interview, and I really had no intention of going back to work sitting in an office. But after reading that book, The Surrender Experiment by Michael Singer, a call came to me to come to their place for an interview today. Why would I not go listen to what they have to say? Right? In his book, that's all he talks about, accepting what comes at you. And instead of letting your ego drive the car on this one and say, oh no, I don't want to go do that. It's like, wait a minute. The universe is throwing something at me here. Let's take a look at it. I had that a couple days ago to actually go get that book by Michael Singer. Just this inherent drive inside of me to go to this bookstore, a specific bookstore. There's a book there waiting for me. That book was there. It's been game changing. Another thing was last night I had a dream. And a friend of mine had said that the football team that I used to play on, so it was two different teams when we combined schools. I already had one ceremony this year, earlier in the year, and now the other school that I had played for, they're doing a ceremony, and he had invited me to go down there for it. And last night I had a dream about actually being there. So I think it's a telltale sign that I need to get off my butt and go down and see what's up. Something there is there for me. So go with the flow of life. And that's all about my mantra right there. And then lastly, and this is the big one, because we feel so damn disconnected from ourselves as we're going through this. But if you read comments that are out there and listen to people that, I'll call them the veterans, that have been on this journey for a while, you can tell how reconnected with themselves that they really are. And you can sense it in their words about how they've migrated past the stages that even I'm currently in into a much better state of mind. So reconnecting to your own emotions on a deeper level and focusing on your own journey. Your own journey, not anybody else's, not any person that you may or may not want in your life, including our TF, but your own journey. That is all about what self-care is. And all of the first 6 points lead into that 7th one. And I am not there yet by any stretch of the imagination, but God damn, that's the goal. That's what I have my eyes on. Today, I feel lighter. I feel more content. Now, as I've learned in a hurry, that pendulum swings back the other direction. So, just prepare yourself. When the good times hit, the rough times, the rough waters will come back. But that's why we use our tools, and that's why we learn to use new tools every single day with this. And as you progress, while these disciplines at first might seem daunting and kind of task-oriented or orientated, once you begin to implement that on a daily basis, it's going to become your new normal. And I would make a comparison to dietary changes. So when I went high protein and then carbs, my carbs were vegetables, that took me away from the things I really used to like. A couple donuts here and there, the cake and stuff like that. But at first, it's hard. Getting rid of soda, that was a big one. I did that years ago, and that was one of the best damn moves I've ever made in my life, but that was a hard move. But once you implement the new normal, it becomes normal. And the weird thing is, I no longer craved that stuff or had a taste for it. And the weird thing was soda, when I ate pizza, all I would want was Pepsi. Like, anytime pizza hit my mouth, I wanted to have Pepsi. So that was a tough one to kind of to hurdle over with. But again, last, I'll read it again: reconnecting to your own emotions on a deeper level, focusing on your own journey. And this is all about self-care. So feeling a little bit better today. Maybe you can see my moods enhance. This process is like that. It's hell on wheels at times, but celebrate the wins. celebrate the wins. So love you guys. Take care.